Welcome to Cohesive Friendship Unit. My name is Chris. I am here with Brian.
What's going on?
And Jeremy.
Yo, what's up?
Guys, the Nintendo Switch Lite was just recently announced. It's going to be coming out in September with the launch of Zelda Link's Awakening. It's going to be $200, and it is a dedicated handheld. Nintendo's own words. You cannot dock this system. It is a Nintendo Switch that's smaller, that you cannot dock, and it's dedicated handheld. And that got me thinking, who's to say that we couldn't see a dedicated docked Nintendo Switch? And we're gonna be talking about the possibility of this. I got some dollar numbers to throw around. We're gonna have some fun with this, and we're gonna talk about if this would even be a good idea at all. But real quick, we are doing a giveaway at 800 subs. We are giving away a copy of Conan Exiles on Steam. We thought about giving away our bathwater, but we all live in different places, so that was going to be hard. Also, we can't all fit in a bathtub.
And I only take showers, so...
Well, for the fans.
For the fans.
You don't want my bathwater. It's usually pretty, brown and dirty.
That's value added, my dude.
That's value added. That's what the people want. But
that's what the people want.
All you have to do is be subscribed to win a copy of Conan Exile. Check out our channel homepage for more. Okay, guys. So here's the deal, right? Here's what So again, I was just thinking, Nintendo makes a dedicated portable version of the Switch. Why not make a dedicated console? And the numbers in particular I'm going to throw at you are just real quick, so we're all on the same page. How much it actually costs to make a Nintendo Switch, and this is as of 2017, so before economy of scale kicks in, things like that. It actually costs $257 to make a Nintendo Switch, but if you were to cut out the Joy-Con, that costs it brings the cost down to $167, which is part of the reason the Switch Lite is probably so cheap, because the Joy-Con are essentially just fused and they don't have the camera or the HD rumble. But yeah, so removing the Joy-Con from the equation, you got to switch down to $167. That also removes, once you remove the dock, it goes down to about $147. So my thinking is, and again, I don't have the exact part by part breakdown, is that once you remove the screen, make the box as big as you want, remove the battery, and throw in a controller, not necessarily Joy-Con with the HD rumble and the IR sensor and all that, but maybe even just a normal Pro controller, you'd probably be looking at a similar number, or even a little lower than 147. So you could launch this theoretically around 200, maybe even a little less. But that's just my vague theory on this, right? That's my breakdown. So that we're all on the same page.
All the expenses are in the things you listed, mainly the screen and the Joy-Con. If you take, because the hardware is not impressive. If you just made it a box that you could plug into the wall, I assume they would be pretty cheap to manufacture.
Right.
I think you can get away with charging. Sorry.
Well, forget that you were saying the connector between the Joy-Con and the thing. You just don't have. You don't have dick. It's just a box. There's no controller. There's no nothing.
Right, and you're already making the controllers for it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have a problem with the $200 though, because the Switch is retailing for what, $250? $300. But it'll probably come down within the next 18 months.
Yeah. Well, the Switch Lite is $200 right now. That's the dedicated handheld.
It's too much for a dedicated handheld. If you're going to draw a parallel to the Game Boy and the GameCube or the N64, whichever generation was current at the time, the Game Boy was fundamentally it was a cheaper video game system. The portability, some people got them for that, but usually it was this is what you got. We're not getting you something to hook up to the TV because that's expensive, but we can get you a Game Boy. And that's the next best thing. It's a cheaper entry. A console that you plug into your TV, that's a little bit more of a premium, but I don't think $200 is... I don't think that's a good idea.
Okay. Price aside, we can come back on the price. Is this even a good idea? Because I was just thinking about it, and I personally think it's a good idea because it's the same exact idea. The Switch is a hybrid console, and there is a subset of the market, like the Pokemon and Animal Crossing players and kids, who, or even some particular adults who only want to play it portable. And I think like Jeremy, he has a Switch. He plays it almost 100% docked. There's a subset of people who would only want to play it docked and not give a shit if it's has the capability of switching.
Right, but that's, I mean, does it make sense? Yeah. Do I think they should do it? Yeah, but is it kind of giving up on? You said it's a hybrid console. Well, if it's the same hardware and it plays the same games and it has all the same functionality, except it's not hybrid anymore, like, what do you have then? You have a shitty Android console in a box.
That's what you have right now with the Switch Lite. It's just a portable Switch. It's not a switchable hybrid. So
you know, at least you can say, well, it's still portable. Like, it's Nintendo and it's portable, but you can't do that with a cell phone. But like, you're just leaning on your games with that, and it's like you kind of threw everything that made your console unique out the window.
I mean, the 2DS is the same thing. I mean, 2DS is 3DS without 3D.
It was quietly admitting failure.
But, well, that's not... yes and no. I mean, part of the reason they made that is they lost a lawsuit, which they had to pay percentages from the 3D technology. But so they just made this instead. But, Jeremy, what do you think? Do you think this is an idea, a good idea, a bad idea, a realistic idea?
I really think they could be manufactured really cheaply, because it is not graphically impressive. Like, there's nothing fancy going on under the hood hardware wise if you take away the things that we were talking about before. So I think they could probably, just like spitballing, like totally random numbers, sorry, my cat just fell down, they could probably get these out for well under $200. My question is, how much of the market, because I do play it almost 100% docked, but my question is, how much of the market is like me? And my guess is that it's a lot less than the percentage of people who want an exclusively portable Switch.
I think you'd be surprised. Like, IGN just ran a... IGN. Referencing IGN.
I remember we looked at one of these studies a couple of years ago, so is this a new one?
Well, this is not a study. It is very informal. IGN just did, like, a Twitter vote, and it was like, do you play your Switch more docked or handheld? It wasn't, or do you do the hybrid thing?
Sure.
And it was like 55% to 45%. I can't remember which way was winning, but it was...
So pretty close.
Pretty close, yeah. But, and even then, like, you have to think, like, again, going back, like, there's a lot of people who just want, like, a Pokemon and a Zelda machine, or, the equivalent, like a Mario machine or a Mario Maker machine, and they don't want to spend $300 per se, and if you give them the option, you get the dedicated Switch Lite portable version for $200, or you get the basically what I'm saying is, like, you can get more people into the ecosystem for fewer dollars.
Do you think that the standalone, so like the portable versus console only versions, do you think that they would ultimately surpass the original in popularity? Because I do.
You mean the two combined?
Right, so between the two of them, you have more. Nobody's buying the thing that the Switch
nobody's buying what it originally was.
You're buying either the hardware in a box or a Game Boy on steroids. Like,
I mean, I could kind of see that, actually.
I don't think so. I don't know. Just, and I'm probably wrong. My gut feeling is that fewer people would buy the exclusively docked version. Like, granted, that's what I would want to buy if I had the choice, especially if it was cheaper, because I basically did buy it for the software. But I think part of it is that Nintendo has a better argument for charging $300 for the switchable version, so to speak, because that's about how much other consoles retail for, that you hook up to your TV. So if you're looking at a PS4 versus a Switch versus an Xbox, well, they're pretty much all going to run you about $300, and the Switch has the added benefit of switching. Whereas I guess there's an argument that you could undercut the market, but I think maybe there's also an argument that at $150, $175, $180, an exclusively docked version would feel cheap and kind of expose the fact that as a console it's not particularly impressive. So I don't know. I think I'm just not as convinced.
It can't go toe to toe with Xbox and PlayStation as
Not remotely.
a console thing, because some of what that 300 or a lot of what that 300 is going into is the hardware.
Yeah, for the other two.
So this is kind of a the Tegra X1 is not a powerful chip by any means, but just this is just another idea. Again, like part of what I said about making the box as big as you want, I said that like super early on. You wouldn't have as many heating issues. You could cool it better, so there's a chance you could get a little bit more performance. But even then, I guess there's a lot of rumors of like a Switch Pro coming out. Do you think, so this is kind of a two-part question, or actually I guess it's kind of three-part. Like, one is like a Switch Pro something that you think should happen? Should it be a dedicated docked experience? Or, we could start there. Like, could this idea be the Switch Pro, where it's dedicated docked, but they put, a beefier processor in, they can run games better? Or do you think...
It's possible. I mean, it's not unlikely. I wouldn't say it's a sure shot, but it's not unlikely.
I'm not sure what it would even offer. Like, if you take away the things that make the Switch, and you're left with just the processor and the chipset and all that, it's not particularly impressive. And like, okay, you bump the graphics and you're getting higher frame rates and a better resolution. Maybe well over 1080. You're probably still not going to crack 4K. And how does that even work graphically? Like, do you then make the software for the Switch standard and then have to upscale the graphics? Like it. And does anyone even give a shit about playing Mario in 4K? I don't think so. That's not really the appeal. I don't think that would be the move. I think if you were going to pro it up and sell something that was going to be $400, you would want to put that into maybe a bigger screen, a higher resolution on the handheld, more functionality, more stupid shit that no one's going to use, but at least it's value added.
Well, pros don't want stupid shit.
It's all stupid shit.
It's gonna have Smash loaded on it. That's all.
No, it's gonna have two kickstands, dude.
Only melee.
Two kickstands.
That definitely needs two kickstands. I mean, this is I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Jeremy. This is like the main reason why I personally could see this docked only, if you will, Switch come out as opposed to like a Switch Pro. So basically, the Wall Street Journal ran a story like it was a while back now. It was closer to a year ago at this point, where they said in 2019-2020 Nintendo will come out with 2 Switch hardware revisions, or 2 new models of the Switch, and the first one has come true in lieu of the Switch Mini. Everyone was speculating the Switch Pro, but like you said, if you're going to keep it a hybrid, I don't see a hybrid that's going to hit 4K, and Nintendo's never been really known for doing that. I think the most you would see is getting 1080p portably, but even then, that's like, it's not adding up. I think this dedicated docked experience is more realistic, personally.
No, but that's what I was saying. In a dedicated docked experience, like what is it going to offer? If it's a pro version, I
don't think there is going to be a pro docked, personally. I was just throwing it out there, but I think
you're saying what's more likely, the pro or the docked version?
Yeah.
I would say the pro, honestly. I think people would be more interested in a handheld device that could play at 1080 and maybe had a bigger screen and maybe had better Joy-Cons and had a real D-pad and some other just kind of quality of life stuff, to a really weak box, even though that's what I would want.
It just it's I just had the idea, just thinking like we had a totally hybrid console, and then Nintendo made a totally portable console, and now I was thinking it would just make sense if they went the exact opposite direction, gave people choices.
I think it makes more sense to me that they're going to follow the blueprint of the 3DS, like have the 3DS and then a 2DS and then like the 3DS XL. Super.
Like a Switch.
Yeah, but that was the 3DS wasn't that successful.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was pretty successful. Not
Yeah,
as
but-
successful as the DS or the Game Boy, but it sold fine.
More than the Switch, like in terms of projected.
Well, the Switch is on track to be the most successful console of all time, tied with the PS4 right now. Like, if you go like day to day. So obviously the Switch hasn't sold as many PS4s, but it's on track. Yeah. I mean, the 3DS is sold like around 70 million. I'm pretty sure. So.
And I'm just saying they've done that blueprint before, right? They've walked that path.
Yeah.
And then they rolled it out pretty much the same way. They had the kind of mainline version of the console, and then they had a stripped back, cheaper version. As you said, Chris, there was a lawsuit that helped precipitate it, but then they also revealed a, beefier version, and that's also what they did with the DS. They had the Nintendo DS, and then they had the DS. What was the first one? It was DS Lite or the DS?
Well, they had the DS and then the DS Lite, DSi.
DSi. So they generally seem to kind of go in the direction of like slightly bigger, slightly better, slightly more expensive. I think that's probably what we're going to see with the Switch.
All right. Yeah, and I guess the last thing I just want to bring up, and I guess I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot a little bit here in my argument. But again, this could be circumstantial. Sony kind of tried to do what I'm suggesting, where they released something called the PS Vita TV, which is a PlayStation Vita it's just a box, but you plug it into your TV and you use like a normal controller to play games on. So they retailed that for $150, but it didn't sell well, and I mean, you could guess like that's likely because the Vita itself didn't sell well more than anything. So I don't think it's really a good example to live or die by.
I think it's also a marketing issue, right? Like the Switch has definitely been marketed significantly on the basis of you can take it with you. Even in the ad for the Switch Lite, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
They show one kid, taking his Switch out of the dock, and then they show the other kid bringing along his Switch Lite, and they both go in the backpacks. So they're comparing the ability to take it on the road. They've highlighted less, I think, playing it docked. They do show it, but it's less kind of the feature of the product. I think if you then turn around and say like, and here's a version that doesn't do any of the stuff that we've been selling it to you on, I just think the marketing could be pretty confusing, and Nintendo has had problems with that too.
Yeah.
You can't put too many fish in a kiddie pool. Their market, like, there are some people that just straight up don't want it because it's a handheld console or whatever.
There's a joke that's running around, just kind of going off Nintendo, like sucking at this kind of stuff, where like moms at Christmas time are gonna go into like Best Buy and say, "Do you have any light switches?" When they want a Switch Lite, but they say light switch. And,
Well, you can't. They don't sell light switches at Best Buy.
Okay, whatever.
They don't sell them at Best Buy. They don't. Like, that's some home improvement shit. You need to go to Home Depot or Lowe's or Ace.
I didn't invent the
local
joke.
hardware retailer. It's not a very good joke. I'd like to have a couple of words with whoever did.
Do we have anything else to say on this? I think we're about wraps.
I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. Jeremy's good. Brian's good. But our viewers might not be good, Brian. What should they do to be good?
Yeah, well, if you're not good, you can let us know down in the word box there with hashtag don't switch my Switch, bro. Or whatever. You could just leave your thoughts on this whole issue, if you will. And like Chris said at the beginning of the video, if you subscribe to this channel, you'll be automatically entered into a chance to win. What was it? Conan Exile?
Conan Exile. So
you definitely want to do that, especially if you watch this far, because you probably liked it. I'm sorry to say. But smoke them if you got them, guys. That's all for me tonight, Chris.
Thank you, Brian. We'll catch you guys next time.